Alright, so today I'm going to run through supplementary angles, vertically opposite angles, and complementary angles. Okay, these are three new ideas for you and three new terms for you. These two in particular, supplementary angles and vertically opposite angles, are important terms for you to understand and to learn. Okay, the complementary is less important. I'll explain why I'm doing that when I come to it. All right, but the best way of going through these is by way of examples. So first one up is supplementary angles. Okay, and this is really closely related to an idea that you've seen already. Okay, so here I've got a line segment and I've got A, B, C, 3 points on it. Okay, so if I was to ask you how big is the angle ABC? Okay, so if you remember back to when we were doing geometry and naming angles, the way we wrote that was okay, like that. So these vertical lines, which mean the size of, and then an angle symbol, and then A, B, C. Okay, and you name an angle by reference to 3 points. So this one is A, B, C. I also could have called it C, B, A. But how big is that angle ABC? Okay, it's 180 degrees. All right, it is what we call a straight angle. Okay, now what if I was to draw, say, another line segment in here, and I was to tell you that this angle here is 70 degrees. How big would this angle be? Okay, well, you know the entire thing is a straight angle. It adds to 180 degrees. So if this bit here is 70, this bit must be 180 minus 70 is 110 degrees. Okay, and the 110 and the 70 there are what's called supplementary angles. Okay, so all supplementary angles is two or more angles that add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so you break a straight angle up into two or more angles. Okay, and the angles you get are called supplementary. Okay, so supplementary angles is when you split a straight angle up. Okay, supplementary angles add to 180 degrees. Okay, so you can use this then to solve questions. So just looking at this one down here. All right, so question gives me this. I'm told this is 65 degrees here. So how big is the angle at X? Or another way of writing that is the angle ABD. Just to revise that. So how big is that angle? Well, the entire thing there is 180. So 180 take away 65 is 115 degrees. Okay, so this angle here, X, is 115 degrees, and we know that because X and the 65 are supplementary. All right, jumping up here, okay, I've got this angle here is marked on as 40 degrees. So how big is this angle over here? This is the Greek symbol theta that you'll see used in geometry a lot. So how big is that angle? That one's 40. The entire thing adds to 180. So that is 180, take away 40, 140 degrees. Okay, if you were asked why, you would say because it is supplementary to the 40 degrees. All right. As I said at the start, supplementary angles is not just when you split a straight angle in two, you could split it in 3 or 4 or 5 or however many parts you want. But let's say this one here, and I'm asked how big is this angle. Okay, they're going to be with a little stalk, beta, the Greek letter beta. How big is that angle? Well, entire thing adds to 180. That's 40, that's 60. So 40 and 60 is 100. 180 take away 100 is 80 degrees. So that angle there is equal to 80 degrees. And again, if you were asked why, then you would say it's 80 degrees because it is supplementary with the 40 and the 60. So you need to be able to say how big that angle is, and you also need to be able to justify your answer. So say it's because it is supplementary with the two that are there. They add up to 180. Okay, so that's supplementary angles. Next one is vertically opposite angles. All right, so let's say I've got two lines here which cross in kind of an X shape, and then I'm asked how big are the angles X, Y, and Z. All right, well, you do have a way of doing this already. Okay, so we've just done supplementary angles, so you could say 55 and Y are supplementary, so they must add to 180 degrees, kind of ignoring this bit down here. So 180 take away 55 is 125 degrees. Okay, and then look at the X and the 125. Well, they're a straight angle as well, so they must be supplementary. So 180 take away 125 is 55 degrees, is equal to X. And Z, then you could figure out using either this angle or this angle that it's 125 degrees. Now, was there a quicker way of getting X rather than getting Y first? Yes. Okay. When you have lines that meet in a kind of X shape like this, the angles directly across from each other are always equal. So if this is 55 degrees, this must be 55 degrees as well, and that's because those angles are vertically opposite. Okay, so vertically opposite angles are angles like X and 55, or Y and Z here, which are across from each other when two lines meet or intersect, and they are equal. Okay, so what do you need to know? You need to be able to say X is 55, and you need to be able to say it's because it is vertically opposite to the other 55. Okay, so you need to be able to fill in the size of these angles when you're given questions, but also back it up with a reason. So you need to know this phrase, vertically opposite. Skipping down here then, so I've got this X shape of two lines meeting. I'm told this is 80 degrees, and I'm asked how big is that angle. That angle is also 80 degrees because it is vertically opposite to that one. Okay, so theta is equal to 80 degrees. All right. Slightly trickier one then over here because I've got 1, 2, 3 lines meeting. Okay, so what angles here are equal to each other? Okay, so let's say I'll start with that angle there. Okay, which one is that equal to? Well, this angle is formed by this line and this line. So you're looking for the other angle formed by those two lines. So it's this one over here. Okay, so they're equal. You nearly can ignore that third line, and you see there you've got that kind of X shape you've seen before. What about this one? Well, that's equal to this one over here. Again, this angle is made up of this line and this line. What other angle is made up between those two lines and is directly across from it? That one. So there's your vertically opposite. And then this one here and this one here are also vertically opposite. Okay, so just when you've got a third line, just be that little bit more careful in finding your vertically opposite angles. It does come up in one of the questions, but it's much more likely to just get two lines like this. All right, another one I'm just covering off because it comes up in one of the questions in your book. It's just something like this. Just be careful with it. If you look at this, maybe not this one because it's kind of a bit of a turn in it, but if sometimes things will look like they might be vertically opposite, but they might not be. Okay, so it'd be very easy if you're running through this question really quickly to go, if that's 80, that must be 80 as well. They're across from each other, they're vertically opposite. No, okay, so it needs to be straight lines that are making the angles. Okay, so if you look, you've kind of got a turn here and a small turn here. And if you look at the question, what's filled in already, these two are across from each other, but they're not equal. Okay, that's 100 and that's 60. So this mustn't be vertically opposite angles that we're dealing with here. Okay, how could I figure out this missing angle? Well, all four of those should add up to 360 degrees. They're like a full revolution. Okay, so 360, take away 60, take away 80, take away 100 will get you that angle. So that would be 300, 220, 120 degrees, I think. Yeah. Okay, so 120 is the missing one there. Okay, so just be careful that you are dealing with vertically opposite angles. All right, like I had here and here. All right, and again, just be careful when there's more than two lines. Just in the, I'm going to give you a couple of questions to do on Khan Academy, I think, and just be careful in there. They refer to these as just vertical angles rather than vertically opposite. Vertically opposite is the better term to use. It's the one used in our book. It's the one that's used in our course all the time. So vertically opposite is what you should call them, rather than vertical as is used on the Khan Academy. But when they say vertical, this is what they're talking about. Last one I'm just going to touch off really quickly. This is less important than the other two. It's just complementary angles. I'm really just doing this because it's going to come up in the Khan Academy questions that I'm going to give you. All right. So complementary angles is really like supplementary angles. So supplementary angles, two angles that add to 180 or three angles that add to 180. Complementary angles are just two angles that add to 90. Okay, so they make up a right angle. Okay, so hopefully you can just about see these. So I've got a right angle here. It's marked on as a right angle. Another line drawn in, and I'm told this is 50. So if this entire thing is 90 and this is 50, this bit here must be 40 degrees. Okay, and the reason for that is they are complementary. It's not a term that really comes up on our course, but as I say, just covering it off so we see it done for the Khan Academy questions. Again, another right angle. This bit here is marked in as 25 degrees. So the kind of missing bit up there, 90 take away 25. That's 65 degrees, and they are complementary. They add to 90 degrees. Another one over here. This bit is marked in as being 15 degrees. The entire thing's 90. This is 15. 90, take away 15. That angle there is 75 degrees.